Hi, I'm Steve. I'm the Digital Director of Spectrum Group. Our mission in life is to unlock the potential of your people. Today we've got a little bite-sized version of Tomorrow's Workplace today, and we're going to be discussing with the guys the recent email from Elon Musk demanding that Tesla employees get back into the office. Don't forget to like, subscribe and follow, and welcome to this bite-sized version of Tomorrow's Workplace today. So, lads, have you seen the recent email from Elon?
I did actually, yeah.
I have.
TV?
And guess what? I've got it right in front of me.
That's convenient.
Isn't it just? Blue Peter moment, Steve.
Do us a favour, read it out.
No worries. Let me
clean my throat.
Everyone at Tesla is required to spend a minimum of 40 hours in the office per week. Moreover, the office must be where your actual colleagues are located, not some remote pseudo office. If you don't show up, we will assume you have resigned. The more senior you are, the more visible, easy for me to say, your presence must be. That is why I lived in the factory so much, so that those on the line could see me working alongside them. If I had not done that, Tesla would long ago have gone bankrupt. There are, of course, companies that don't require this, but when was the last time they shipped a great new product? It's been a while. Tesla has had and will create and actually manufacture the most exciting and meaningful products of any company on earth. This will not happen by phoning it in. Thanks, Elon.
Wow.
Where do we start?
Where do we start?
There was a follow-on tweet, wasn't there? Someone was questioning it.
Yeah, he did. Just to be clear, didn't he?
Just to be clear, yeah.
Can you find us that, JV?
And then
You've not prepared that, have you?
No, that's a Blue Peter failure.
But
Why you
ultimately,
prepare that?
yeah,
Neil,
ultimately, what did he say? Yeah, you can't pretend to work from home. So it was like, wow, okay.
Because we've only seen you about 6 times in the last 2 years.
Yeah, been hiding in my back bedroom, haven't I? Yeah.
So what's your reflections on
the thing
Elon's
is,
email?
Got it.
I think he tried to obviously put a bit of a caveat in there, saying there's obviously some businesses, but then did a bit of a shot. He did a bit of a shot across the bow to other companies, saying they obviously haven't brought out any decent products. I think if you think about regional sales reps, if you like, or sales teams, I think you've had traveling salesmen for years that have worked in remote places and obviously had a patch. And I went to see one of my customers that do food distribution, and they've literally broke up the whole national company in the country, and they have different people in different areas. So I think from a sales perspective, people have been used to having remote teams anyway. And ultimately, I think from me personally, I know what I'm doing. I know my target. I'm very much self-governed in that regard. If I don't do my target, it's very evident if I'm not doing my job. So, and the fact that I've actually managed to increase and surpass my target by about 150%, which is, I think from my perspective, it's worked. But I can see his point from a manufacturing point of view. He has very much like a startup culture, I see. And also there's an intensity about, I mean, he obviously sets these massive lofty goals. He's already just said there that they're going to make the best products and deliver them to market, which if you trace back some of the things he said, the fact that he wanted to launch an electric car, and he did, maybe 8, 9, 10 years ago now. And obviously a lot of people laughed at him. Now the big German manufacturers are all scrambling to catch up, really. So it's interesting from a point of view of manufacturing. I get it, where you've got multiple people that all have to collaborate and be very precise and obviously deliver to a certain expectation. I think it makes sense to have them in an office, in an environment where they can maybe it's different that culture. Role
then. So as a salesman, you've got some very clear KPIs that you have ownership of, largely, I would say. So therefore, it's all right. You can kind of be left to get on with your job. Software developers, more collaborative, less clear individual KPIs, more team goals, and therefore probably lends itself more to a get in the office, talk to each other, get in front of each other.
I think
JV looked like he's
disagreeing.
Go on.
I think you said, Neil, around. I get the sales thing. I'll come back to that because I don't 100% agree. But when you're talking, be it software development, be it making cars, rockets, whatever you're making, that collaboration piece and being able to share best practice. Yes, we've got things like Zoom, we've got Teams, etc., etc. But actually, it's not just the focus. It's that kind of those little Slack moments in between where you can have a bit of banter, and we like to rib each other as much as we can. You can't really do that remotely, and I think it then, yes, he's obviously extremely focused, reasonably successful, but there's that intensity that potentially that's gonna I'm contradicting myself slightly here, but that's gonna develop burnout in people because he's just that intense. So I'm more in the hybrid area is probably where my barometer would be. But
he's on the fence, look, Steve. He's on the fence.
He is, yeah.
No, but
go on.
On the so I think the collaboration piece, and I think it's not just the focused work. It's those little like I said, Slack times where the bants can kick in, and that develops harmony and sort of developing a nice culture to work in, team spirit, etc. Where I'll slightly, and on that theme, slightly come back to you, Neil, is yes, great year last year, worked from home, etc. But you had a great year, and potentially had you been in the office having that great year, you might have been able to share some of the things that you were doing with other people in the team, and they could have picked up on that, which then meant other people that didn't do 150% might have gone, do you know what, from what I've learned from or overheard Neil doing, I might be able to get another 10% out of myself or 20%. So it goes back to me being right here, hybrid working.
I think it's a symbol of a sea change, actually. I think when COVID happened, everybody was predicting this was the beginning of home working forever, and I'm witnessing the massive reversal of that across not just Elon, but that's just one very high profile example of it. But we're in the office more and more. Loads of businesses that I know are just getting back in the office, and I think we probably didn't realise how much we missed it when we were locked at home for 18 months. I feel like the world's reverting back to where it was 2.5 years ago, quite quickly, actually.
Yeah. And now great at contradicting myself. So you, as a head of a division of the company, etc., potentially you would probably have got more out of your day working from home without the distractions, rather than being in the office and then me and Neil come and chew your ear off because we want a project, those sorts of things.
I don't know. The best parts of my day are catching up with you guys, seeing what's going on, walking out onto the floor, speaking to the team, what's happening. You pick stuff up. I feel very isolated when I'm at home, sat in my kitchen tapping away on my laptop. I feel like I'm out of the loop. I feel like I'm not close to what's going on with the team, and I don't like that.
I think like you say, when you are in a role like yourself where you've got a team of people to manage, it is better to sort of be able to oversee everybody in sort of one place. And I can see what you're saying. Well, been very, very selfish. If I just lock myself away in my own little world and crack on, I can get more done. Now, I do that by choice. I could obviously come in and work in an amazing sort of open plan office, and there's flip sides. And I suppose COVID, what it taught me personally was obviously, yes, I come into the office, I know I get easily distracted. So actually in the office, I get half of the work done than I used to. So I'm actually maximising my potential by just taking myself off and isolating myself. And even when I've worked in the office, I've taken myself off into little small booths to sort of do my meetings and things like that. But obviously my role changed quite dramatically because I was regional and I was going out in the car to see customers, whereas now it's all on Teams and I'm selling nationally. So it's opened up the map for me. But I can see, if we go back to Elon, I think you don't become the richest man in the world by accident. He's obviously got a plan. He's obviously very driven. He wants to set that culture. He leads by example. The fact that, he's that type of eccentric character that would sleep at a particular business like Tesla or whatever to get it off the ground, and people in a new environment, they're having to buy into his vision. So as a leader, he's selling them a dream, a vision. Nobody's done it before, so he had to put so much energy and effort, and it's better. I can see from his perspective if he can create an environment. It's like an incubator. If he was thinking from a lab perspective, he's created an environment that he could actually generate and grow this business from nothing. Like he said, if he was to try to do that remotely, how? But at the same time, when you scale a business and you have X amount of tens of thousands of employees, you look at Microsoft, you look at even the likes of Snowflake as a company that's grown dramatically and very, very quickly. They've got, like you say, software developers around the world, different time zones. It must be a struggle to keep track of all those. But again, I think if you hire the right people with the right attitude and then have a clear definition of what their job role is, and especially with like the agile stuff that we talk about, where we break certain things down into sprints, they know exactly what they're doing in that sprint. They can put their headphones on and crack on. I think when it's a manufacturer, when they're physically making something, and especially from a creative perspective, I see it, very much so. You've got to get people in a room, you've got to whiteboard stuff, you've got to, and even things like if something goes wrong, like, okay, let's dissect it, what went wrong, how can we improve it, that type of stuff. But there's obviously other advocates that I've seen for the office where in like a creative environment, sort of ad agencies and marketing and online marketing, they're creating a fun culture. And actually, you're right, from previous, you bounce off each other, little ideas spin off, and then you take it off down, and by the end of the conversation, you've created something completely new that you couldn't do on your own. So in isolation, it's good if you want to focus and get work done, but then there's obviously certain roles and certain jobs.
Sounds like we're convincing you, Neil. Sounds like you're going to be in the office for the next few months.
I don't mind. I'll just take myself off when I need to. So don't get me wrong. If you want me to talk, I'll talk and I'll collaborate really well. Let's do some drawing on the whiteboard.
I think that's the thing, though. You said it a bit earlier, Steve, in as much as it is a bit of a departmental thing, isn't it? In all truth be told, sales don't have to be in the office every single day. And like you, I actually am more probably productive working from home without distractions because attention span of a gnat. Having said that, when it comes to recruitment, granted, he's running Tesla. Do you want a job at Tesla and we're paying $100,000 a year, but you've got to be in the office 40 hours, a minimum of 40 hours a week. All right, when do I start? But for you, recruiting people saying, actually, do you know what? You have to be in the office 5 days a week for X hours. Tough sell. I think it is a tough sell, and I think that's ultimately, I would guess anyone watching this and the country, the world over, recruitment is tough at the moment.
There was a follow-up email, so
there was.
I did that out.
I did miraculously find it. So the follow-up to Elon was, "Hey Elon, a lot of people are talking about this leaked email. Any additional comments of people who think coming into work is an antiquated concept?" He said they should pretend to work somewhere. They should pretend to work somewhere else. Was his response to that?
Pretty firm on his opinion, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, he is.
He actually, the same person sent a tweet, I think it may have been earlier, saying, "Tesla, this is less than we ask of factory workers. If there are particularly exceptional contributors for whom this is impossible, I will review and approve those exceptions directly. Moreover, the office must be a main Tesla office, not a remote branch office unrelated to the job duties. For example, being responsible for Fremont factory human relations, but having your office in another state. Thanks, Elon."
So even he said there will be exceptions. I think he's taken a very extreme view, actually. But as I say, I think it's a symbol of what's happening out there in the world at the minute, personally.
I'll be interested to look at it from, because obviously there's many global businesses that have remote offices, satellite offices, and especially in the city centres where they sort of gave notice, if you like, and gave back their offices because, again, they'll be paying X amount to lease them when they're empty. Now, it'll be interesting to see the stats in terms of the ones that obviously was tied in for, say, 25 years and you ain't going anywhere. You've got to keep paying your lease, or the ones that obviously did give notice and gave it back. Like, how many of those have actually started to reopen offices again, or have they just left it and kind of, pushed on that way? And I mean, again, there was a couple on this business estate, weren't they? Where, I mean, one high profile one was more of an e-commerce site, but then they decided to obviously shut up shop, give back the office. And I think in that world, then maybe the customer service team or whoever could work remotely. But I'd be intrigued to see how many of them are rushing back to offices now. And
maybe more shared services, more shared space, people getting together every week.
I've seen that. So I know someone that have acquired a big site and they've divided it, and then they're basically making it more of a shared office space, and people are hot desking and that type of stuff. That the demand for that's gone up again.
And I think that's the thing for me is the we've covered it on a few occasions, and I'm not mentioning it to go back there, but I think staff will kind of staff will dictate, not as in dictate, but the staff staff leaving or staff staying but want to work more from home or whatever, the feedback to the directors and management will be the one that will dictate probably strategy going forward, because like you said, all these companies like Barclays in Canary Wharf, they have this massive building, and they still operated with 90% working from home during COVID.
Huge overhead.
But absolutely. But then you've also got while I like working from home, just working from home all the time, it's like I see the same four walls the whole day.
Yeah, there's a huge mental health sort of
thing.
And we are by nature communal people. Like humans, we do better when we congregate, and we're social animals. We want to be together. So it's like want to be together. You'll be old enough to remember that. But
wow.
Cheers. But I think the mental health side of things, when you get people in from a manager's perspective, you've got a duty care to make sure they're okay and they're in the right mind space and that type of thing. And I can see how that's difficult remotely, definitely, especially when you're looking after tens, if not hundreds of people and in certain departments. And it's like, how do I get around them all? How do I make sure that they're safe, that they're not climbing the walls, looking at the same white walls. And some people in the cities, especially if they're in apartment buildings and they ain't got open spaces to walk around in and stuff like that, it'll have a take its toll. So I think you're right. I think the hybrid thing, and I think it's a personal thing as well. I think it should it be dictated to? I think it should be optional. But as long as the KPIs for that particular job role is very clear, and they know exactly what the outcome, and everybody's focused on what the outcome of that role is, and then I think it should be optional.
Okay. Last word from you, Mr. Benim.
Can I just, where does automation fit into this discussion there?
Good question. John?
Yeah, thanks. There's a hospital pass. If ever I've seen it, where does automation come in? Automation would enable people to work remotely, but that goes against what Elon's trying to achieve, doesn't it? But you can't tell me that Tesla Towers doesn't have the most amount of automation within it.
I 100% agree.
He wants everyone in there, and he wants automation working to its optimum, so that other people, so that the staff can be doing the things that the automation can't do, and then he's getting more value, and he can put another rocket out there.
You can't put rockets into orbit or build out of gigafactories and all the rest of it. He's optimized, building cars at a specific level of speed. He's hiring the most intelligent engineers on the planet. He's hiring them for their brain, for them to think new ways and come up with problems. I guarantee he's automated a lot of the mundane. They're not sat keying in data into Excel spreadsheets and stuff like that. I guarantee they'll have the latest tech. They'll have IoT. They'll have AI. I mean, he talks about AI quite openly, but you can even just look at the user interface of like the Tesla. Everybody knows it's the most responsive. It's the best. The fact that he's put a massive screen in a car and it has over-the-air updates and all this type of stuff.
I mean, TV screen in the middle. I was parked next to one yesterday, and I was like, Well, you've got one, but I was like,
used to it.
what's that about? I want to be able to see what I'm doing there, not to my left.
Do you know what? I hired one when I got used to it within
When you went to your hair
30
transplant
seconds.
appointment in Orlando.
Yeah, in Orlando. Yeah, that wig
Oh,
that
you've
wig
lost
that
track
I've
now,
just
haven't you?
stuck on. But I agree with Steve. You get used to it. The advantages outweigh the fact that visual it's moved slightly. The speed's in the top right hand corner, so it's fractional where you need to see. But I think if you look at his past, the fact that he's created software, he's an engineer at heart. He builds things, and he obviously wants to make things more efficient. I guarantee he's leveraging technology, and probably technology that we haven't even seen yet. He's got AI, in the labs and other bits, but you can't put rockets into space without having tech.
Yeah, he's not got a load of people manually processing a lot of stuff.
building out of wood,
But
I think.
for me, automation, it's two sides of the same coin to answer that question. So I think it helped during COVID when people were working from home because the business kept running.
Yep.
But ultimately, automation frees up people and so that people can focus on what they're good at, which is things like creativity and problem solving. And as we've just discussed, those things are probably best done together in a room in front of a whiteboard. So I think it helps in both sides.
Definitely.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much for your time, guys, and we'll see you next week.
No worries. Thank you. You what?
Let me down.
How?
He said he was going to destroy you.
What? I didn't get a word in. He was talking all the time.
That's my strategy. Take up all the airspace and the oxygen in the room. Makes him lightheaded and they can't think straight.
What a case of thinking straight. To be fair, I nearly did you at the end. How many times did you say rockets? I know I said it a couple of times, but you must have said it 3 or 4 times.
I?
I was like, he does
couldn't
more
think
than
of it.
rockets.